Monday Night Football is the stage. Browns, Broncos coming your way a little over an hour from now. As you can see, not traveling for this one. We are home for the holidays, I guess you could say. And but still here, ready to talk with you pregame. We'll be back with you postgame with plenty to break down from whatever happens out in Denver between the Browns and the Broncos tonight. Appreciate you guys jumping on in. And this matchup, Megs, I don't know about you, man, but it feels like it's been sort of a long time coming. Because that Steelers game on Thursday Night Football feels like it was ages ago. Because there's been a lot of things that have happened since then in a football world, but also just in the world in general. So I don't know. Like, it's kind of they call it the mini bye week. Maybe that helps the Browns, but I also think there's another element that's in play here is kind of like getting guys back on track and focused after what sort of feels like a longer time away from football.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, you go back to that last Thursday. I mean, that was not only do you get that long extended week from a Thursday night game, but then you don't play till Monday night, and you're like, holy cow, it does feel like it's been such a long time. And what a good way to come into this, right? You think back to that last game, the euphoria that it was against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and now you turn the page, and there's no rest for the wicked, man. Where this team is at, they have to bring their A game tonight because this Denver Broncos team, and everybody knows it by now, but this group is legit. This is a very legit team that they're facing tonight, and hopefully that rest proves to be beneficial for the Cleveland Browns. I know from an injury standpoint, we're going to have a lot of guys, more guys than you would expect, not playing tonight. But you hope from a preparation standpoint that they've had a good week of work and they come in tonight ready to rock on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, it's a good note by you on the injury front because there are a number of guys out. And I do think this is going to kind of play into the game for the Browns offense in particular because no Cedric Tillman tonight. He was ruled out over the weekend, couldn't get through the concussion protocol this week. That's a big aspect of the Browns offense in terms of who's going to catch passes from Jameis Winston. We'll talk about that more here in a second. Jedrick Wills out yet again. He's missing now his 7th game of the season. Due to that nagging knee injury that continues to be a problem for him. So it'll be Germain Ifedi manning that left tackle spot, and we'll see how he can do against a very, very good Broncos pass rush that is leading the league in sacks with 44. Juan Thornhill, who's popped up on the injury report earlier in the week with a calf injury, also out tonight. And then Sam Kamara, defensive tackle, one of the other notable guys who's not playing tonight for the Browns. But I do think that wide receiver group is the area I'm going to sort of highlight here to start, Megs, because without Cedric Tillman, a lot more on, I guess, Elijah Moore's plate. We saw that the team did elevate from the practice squad today Kadarius Toney, 2-time Super Bowl champion, and Michael Woods II. So trying to sort of bolster that wide receiver room in the absence of Cedric Tillman. How much of a role those guys play obviously remains to be seen. But I do think one of the biggest storylines going into this game, of course, is the revenge factor for Jerry Jeudy. I don't know. I'm expecting him to have a big game, especially with Tillman being out. But it is going to be sort of this fun cat and mouse game between him and one of the best corners in the game in Patrick Surtain.
Yeah, I know. It's really going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. And Jerry had some good comments earlier in the week. Like, yeah, he wants this thing bad and wants it really bad for a lot of good reasons. He felt that when he was in Denver, he became just a guy, and he wants to prove tonight that he's more than just a guy. He wants to prove that he's a legit number one in this league, and he's shown that the last couple of weeks for the Browns. You think back to, the Browns don't win that Thursday night game against the Pittsburgh Steelers if it wasn't for Jerry Jeudy. He made some really tough catches in the snow and in the elements and proved it. And tonight is a massive matchup. It's a really great chance for him to prove not only that he can hang with those in that conversation as one of those number ones, but do it against Pat Surtain Jr., who, like you said, one of the best in the league, and do it on a national stage. I think the opportunity is all his, and you feel really good about it when Jameis Winston's pulling the trigger because he's going to give him chances, right? He's not going to be holding on to that thing. The Browns, if they don't pull it out, it ain't going to be lack of trying because Jameis is, as we know now as Browns fans and as NFL fans around the whole world know, Jameis is going to let that thing fly, and he's going to give Jerry a ton of opportunity tonight to prove that he's one of the league's best.
Yeah, and I wrote about this up on the website Cleveland Browns on SI today. It's kind of my pregame column, but tonight, there's the revenge factor for Jerry and trying to kind of prove to some of the doubters that guys like Mark Schlereth who had a lot of things to say when Jerry Jeudy got traded about how he was a bust and all these different things. It's proving those people wrong. It's proving that he was more than what Denver maybe thought he was. But it's also, like you alluded to, he's trying to prove that he's a number one wide receiver, and that like the contract extension he got from the Browns was valid, that it was, he was worth all that money. And it wasn't even that bad of a contract to begin with. But yeah, like I think tonight and the rest of the season, he's on a great tear. For as much as we talked about his chemistry with Deshaun Watson during training camp and early in the season, him and Jameis Winston have gotten very much on the same page the last few weeks, and he has thrived. So I do think like the rest of the season starting tonight is about seeing if he can be that number one wide receiver for you, or if that is still going to be a position the Browns need to address and find out in free agency or in the draft this upcoming offseason.
And I would also add to that, like there's a number of places to be excited, obviously with Jerry on the outside. But if you think back to last year, we were just talking about this before we went live. The Browns had a really disappointing loss to the Broncos. They lost 29-12 against Russell Wilson, and all there was a big game. That was a huge game for the Browns, and that was actually right before, it was damn near like 365 days, like 52 weeks ago from now, because if you don't remember, it's when Dorian Thompson-Robinson goes down with a concussion and they sign Joe Flacco the next week, and we go on that magical run, right? And it kind of started that. But the Browns were in a game with the Broncos with a very similar Broncos team that you're going to see tonight. They were in a game with a rookie quarterback, and they were playing really well before he got his injury, and it kind of fell off a cliff when it went back to PJ Walker. So I'm really excited to see not only how they can utilize Jeudy and some of these receivers that have been playing much, much better, but also too, like, what is this game plan going to look like? What is Nick Chubb going to look? I'm really excited to see him tonight on a primetime stage again, right? Last time he was on Monday Night Football, the injury happened, and the whole world's going to get to see him again tonight. So hopefully, and I don't put it past Kevin and Ken Dorsey to have a great game plan heading in for this offense to highlight Jerry Jeudy, but to also stick in that personality of, hey, we're going to try to tough this thing out and get a gritty win on the road here.
On the flip side, it's the Browns defense against Bo Nix, who's been I can't say he's been the best rookie quarterback, because I think Jaden Daniels kind of has that distinction, but he's been very, very good in his own right. And it's kind of one of those things where he's gotten better as the season has gone on. He has a really good connection with Courtland Sutton. Most notably, those two have hooked up for a bunch of yards and a number of touchdowns as well. And he continues to just look really, really comfortable in Sean Payton's system. Sean Payton's done a brilliant job, I think, Megs, of making life easy for him. He's run a lot of levels type concepts, making the easy throws, the easy reads, and it's gotten into a place where we're talking about him as one of the better rookie quarterbacks in this class early on in his tenure here. I will say, though, there are some numbers that show his success has largely come against zone defenses, and the Browns play a lot of man. So maybe an opportunity there. Listen, I know the Broncos defense is good, and they have a good chance to shut down the Browns and maybe limit them. But I think conversely, like if you can get to Bo Nix, if Myles Garrett can have a big game, and if the secondary can sort of lock these guys down and give him some trouble because he's not used to throwing against man defenses, I think it is a recipe for success for this Browns team here tonight.
I would add two things. One on the positive for the Browns, one maybe on the negative for the Browns. We'll start with the positive for the Browns. I think the biggest emphasis tonight is going to be pressuring the young quarterback. Okay. Yeah. Getting Myles Garrett. I think Dalvin Tomlinson has been awesome these past couple of weeks, drawing quarterback pressures. And this team, truthfully, Spence, can't run the football. They're not a very good running team. So they're going to be living in pass. So if the Cleveland Browns can generate a lot of pressure, I think it'll make Bo Nix's life really tough tonight in that backfield, because you have to be super accurate when you're playing against man coverage. The reverse of that, if you are inaccurate, it helps to throw to giants on the outside, and he's got a couple of them, starting with Courtland Sutton, who's having an unbelievable season. If you have him in fantasy, you're probably doing really, really well this year, because he's been spectacular once Bo Nix has started to get his feet under him. But a guy who goes kind of under the radar, Devon Vale, he stands at 6'5". So Courtland Sutton stands at 6'4". Vele, stands at 6'5". Troy Franklin, the rookie out of Oregon, a guy that I wanted in Cleveland, stands at 6'3". And then you got a couple scat guys inside. Marvin Mims, a speedy 5'11" dude. So he's got these big weapons to throw to. If you think back just a year ago, Martin Emerson didn't have his best day guarding Courtland Sutton. So it's going to be a revenge day for him, and you'll see how they use Denzel Ward in that. But if you're going to miss, or if you're going to have a tough time throwing against man-to-man coverage, at least you're getting to throw to guys who are massive and are going to stand 5, 6, 7 inches taller than Denzel Ward and some of your cornerbacks back there. So that'll certainly be a challenge for the Browns secondary.
Yeah, and you mentioned the run game. The offensive line has been one of the better ones in terms of not giving up sacks. They've only given up 19 of them this season. So Myles Garrett and company will have their work cut out for them, trying to generate pressure on Bo Nix, but certainly helps your cause if you're able to do that, especially with the man defense they're going to play. Megs, we'll wrap up, as we always do with this pregame hit, with our predictions for the game. And I think we're kind of on different ends of the spectrum here in terms of who we're picking. I'll let you go first.
We're back, baby. We're positive Megs. Positive Megs is back. We got Cleveland 24, Denver 21. It's going to be let's see how this one's going to end. It's going to be a 21-17 game, and we're going to get one of those miracle Jameis Winston drives. Leads the Browns down in Mile High, in the mountaintops. He's going to punch it in the end zone. Maybe it's Nick Chubb that punches the game winner in. The Browns get out of Denver with a huge victory.
My fantasy team would love a Nick Chubb touchdown tonight. I am going to say what I put in our piece, which you can find again at Cleveland Browns on SI. I said 23-20 Broncos. Unfortunately, I am not as positive as Megs.
Not a believer,
we need Megs on the staff. He balances us all out. We all pick against the Browns. He picks the Browns, and he was right on Thursday night with the Steelers game.
This is a good time to drop a little note in for all those who are listening. First of all, we appreciate you jumping in with us. But if the Browns do get a win tonight, come back in with us after the game, because I'll have something I'm going to stand on.
Is that right? You're just going to gloat about being right again?
No. It's going to be another prediction. I got something. I got some business to get off my chest if the Browns get a win tonight. Let's just say the heart is still beating. We'll just leave it at that.
Oh, I see. You're trying to play the in the hunt game. That's what Megs is trying to do at the game if they get a win tonight.
We'll see. Maybe not.
He's gonna be like Mel Kiper. He's gonna have a big board behind him. He's gonna be pointing out like all the different scenarios. He's gonna be ready to go.
We're dialed in. But if that's what it's about, just come on back afterwards, and we'll dive into all the scenarios.
Megs is gonna have the in the hunt graphic ready, and we can't wait for it if it happens.
Spence, we had a magical December last year. Why not run one back?
That's true. All right, guys, we appreciate you stopping by for this pregame conversation. As Megs alluded to, we'll be back post-game to recap whatever happens in this game. Hopefully it's a Browns win, and we can all be excited about that. But on the flip side, if it's a loss, we'll have some comments for you as well. So in the meantime, be sure to follow along during the game, after the game, throughout the game over at Cleveland Browns on SI. We'll have all kinds of written content for you over there. And of course, the Cleveland Browns on SI YouTube channels where you can find more content like this. Post-game, we won't have post-game press conferences and stuff tonight because we're not there. But obviously previous press conferences and things can be found there as well. We appreciate you guys jumping in with us and your loyal support with the Cleveland Browns on SI. Be sure to stay in tune with all things Cleveland Browns. With us, for Anthony Moeglin, I'm Spencer German. We'll talk to you guys after the game. Enjoy.